London is one of the most heavily monitored cities in the world. Cameras watch nearly every street, police patrol every borough, and the justice system is designed to keep dangerous criminals locked away. But hidden behind massive red brick walls in South London sits a prison many insiders say is struggling to keep control. HMP Wandsworth, the largest prison in the United Kingdom. A prison built in 1851, now holding more than 1,500 inmates, where cells designed for one person often hold two, sometimes more. Inspection reports have warned about overcrowding, violence, drug smuggling, and deteriorating conditions. And in 2023, the entire country was stunned when a high-risk terror suspect managed to escape from inside these walls, triggering a nationwide manhunt and raising serious questions about security. How does a prison this big lose control? What really happens behind those locked doors? And what is life actually like for the men trapped inside one of Britain's most overcrowded prisons? Tonight, we're taking you inside HMP Wandsworth, a place where the system is pushed to its limits, and every day can turn dangerous. But before we step inside those gates, make sure you like and subscribe to Goody Crime TV for more real, fact-based prison documentaries you won't find anywhere else. Because some of the most shocking stories about crime don't happen on the streets. They happen behind the bars. London is one of the most surveilled cities on Earth. More than 500,000 CCTV cameras. Armed police patrols. Counterterrorism units. A justice system that prides itself on accountability. A city that tells the world it is secure. But behind the red brick walls in southwest London stands a prison so overcrowded, so strained, that official inspectors have described conditions as deeply concerning. This is HMP Wandsworth, the largest prison in the United Kingdom. A place built in 1851, when Queen Victoria ruled the British Empire, and still operating today. According to the UK Ministry of Justice, Wandsworth holds well over 1,500 prisoners at any given time, often beyond its certified capacity. Cells designed for one man routinely house two. Some reports have described sanitation issues, broken infrastructure, and rising levels of violence. And in 2023, headlines exploded across Britain when a terror suspect escaped from inside this prison, sparking a nationwide manhunt and raising serious questions about security failures. It was the safest city. Until one night proved otherwise. Stay with me, because what happens inside these walls is not just about crime. It's about a system under pressure. And if you believe justice ends at sentencing, think again. Before we go further, if you value real, fact-based crime documentaries that cut through the noise, make sure you like and subscribe. Because stories like this deserve to be told carefully, truthfully, and without sensationalism. Now let's step inside. Wandsworth Prison sits in the London borough of Wandsworth, near residential streets, schools, and commuter rail lines. If you didn't know it was there, you might mistake it for an aging industrial complex. But those 20-foot perimeter walls are topped with razor wire. Inside, more than 1,500 men wake up every morning in one of Britain's busiest local prisons. Wandsworth is classified as a Category B prison. That means it holds prisoners who do not require maximum security, but who cannot be trusted in open conditions. It houses remand prisoners awaiting trial, convicted inmates serving shorter sentences, and sometimes high-profile defendants whose cases attract media attention. This mixture creates tension. Because remand prisoners are legally innocent until proven guilty. Convicted inmates are serving time. Some expect release within months. Others are facing years. And they all live together. According to Inspectorate of Prisons reports in recent years, Wandsworth has struggled with overcrowding, staff shortages, and deteriorating conditions. Inspectors have cited concerns about violence, drug availability, and mental health support. In some inspection findings, prisoners reported feeling unsafe. Not because of the walls, but because of what happens inside them. The building itself is Victorian in design, long wings radiating from central landings, narrow walkways, iron staircases. Originally constructed following the separate system philosophy, prisoners were meant to be isolated, silent, and separated. But that was 1851. In 2024, isolation is not the problem. Density is. Cells built for one often house two. Bunk beds. Limited storage. A toilet in the corner, sometimes separated by only a small screen. According to inspection summaries, sanitation and cleanliness have been recurring concerns. Imagine living in that space for 23 hours a day. Because during staffing shortages, that's exactly what can happen. In official documentation, Wandsworth has repeatedly been flagged for limited time out of cell. In some periods, prisoners reportedly received only a few hours daily outside their cells due to insufficient officers to supervise movement. Less staff means fewer programs. Fewer programs mean idle time. And idle time inside prison rarely leads anywhere good. According to Ministry of Justice data across England and Wales, violence in prisons has been a persistent issue over the last decade. Assault rates, including assaults on staff, have fluctuated but remain a serious concern nationally. Wandsworth has not been immune. Inspection reports have documented incidents involving improvised weapons, drug debts, and gang-related tensions. One former inmate, whose identity is public through court records but will not be named here, described Wandsworth in an interview with British media as chaotic. He claimed drugs were widely available. Spice, a synthetic cannabinoid, has been a documented issue across UK prisons. The Ministry of Justice has acknowledged the challenge of drug smuggling, including through drones, corrupt staff, and contaminated mail. According to published reports, Wandsworth has experienced incidents involving drone drops over its perimeter walls. Imagine that. A Victorian prison. Battling 21st century technology. And then came the escape. On September 6, 2023, British authorities confirmed that a terror suspect had escaped from HMP Wandsworth. According to official statements and widespread media reporting, the inmate had been working in the prison kitchen when he allegedly attached himself to the underside of a delivery vehicle. He exited the prison grounds undetected. A nationwide manhunt followed. Police circulated images. Airports were alerted. The public was warned. This wasn't a petty thief. He was awaiting trial on serious charges under UK terrorism legislation. The escape exposed more than just a security gap. It exposed pressure. According to subsequent reporting, staffing levels at Wandsworth had been under strain. The prison service later faced questions about procedures, supervision, and resource allocation. Government officials stated that an internal review would take place. Critics argued that the incident was inevitable. When a prison operates beyond comfortable capacity, when staff are stretched thin, when infrastructure ages beyond its intended lifespan, vulnerabilities appear. And criminals look for vulnerabilities. But the escape was only one headline. Because inside Wandsworth, there are hundreds of quieter stories that never make national news. The remand prisoner who waits months for trial in cramped conditions. The young offender mixing with hardened criminals. The officer working double shifts to maintain order. The mental health crisis unfolding behind closed cell doors. Official statistics across England and Wales have consistently shown high levels of self-harm incidents in prisons. Mental health advocacy groups have repeatedly raised concerns about overcrowding and its psychological toll. Inspectors have noted that support services often struggle to meet demand. Imagine being locked in a cell the size of a bathroom. 2 men. Limited privacy. Uncertain court dates. Limited family visits due to logistical constraints. Now multiply that by 1,500. That's Wandsworth. The prison has also housed high-profile inmates over the years. Public figures, politicians, celebrities, when remanded or convicted in London, Wandsworth has often been their first stop. This creates media attention. But media attention doesn't fix plumbing. It doesn't fix staffing ratios. It doesn't modernize Victorian architecture. In some inspection findings, broken windows, damaged furniture, and poor maintenance were documented. The Ministry of Justice has acknowledged funding challenges across the prison estate. Wandsworth is not unique. But it is symbolic. Because it represents Britain's broader prison crisis. According to publicly available data, the prison population in England and Wales has hovered near capacity limits in recent years. Government officials have warned about space shortages. Emergency measures have been discussed, including temporary cell units and early release schemes for certain non-violent offenders. When prisons fill up, something has to give. Sometimes it's space. Sometimes it's safety. Sometimes it's both. Inside Wandsworth, officers operate on strict schedules. Roll checks. Meal distribution. Controlled movement between wings. Security classifications determine privileges. But control in theory and control in practice can differ. Former staff interviewed by British outlets have described high turnover and burnout. These claims align with broader Ministry of Justice data showing recruitment and retention challenges within the prison service. It's difficult work. Long hours. High tension. Constant vigilance. And when morale drops, systems weaken. The terror suspect who escaped in 2023 was eventually recaptured after several days. According to official police updates, he was found in West London following an intensive search operation. But for those days, the public saw something rare, proof that prison walls are not impenetrable. And if one person could slip through, what else was slipping through? Contraband phones have been seized in UK prisons in significant numbers. Ministry of Justice figures confirm thousands of mobile phones confiscated annually across the prison system. Phones mean communication. Communication means coordination. And coordination can mean organized crime continuing from behind bars. In some criminal cases reported in UK courts, prosecutors have detailed how inmates directed drug operations or intimidation schemes using illicit phones. Wandsworth, as one of the largest facilities, has faced similar risks. This is not speculation. This is documented in court proceedings across the prison system. The prison service has introduced body scanners, mail screening measures, and signal blocking technology in efforts to combat contraband. But enforcement is an arms race. Every measure meets a workaround. Every rule meets resistance. So what is life actually like inside? Wake-up call early. Breakfast delivered or collected. Work assignments for those eligible, kitchen, cleaning, workshops. Others remain locked in. Exercise periods in controlled yards. Visits scheduled in monitored halls. The rhythm is repetitive. But beneath repetition is volatility. Tension between rival groups. Debt over drugs. Mental health breakdowns. And always, the countdown. To trial. To sentencing. To release. Or to transfer. In inspection interviews summarized publicly, some prisoners reported feeling unsafe at certain times. Others reported positive relationships with individual staff members. Wandsworth is not a single story. It is thousands of overlapping stories. Some of rehabilitation. Some of failure. Some of survival. But here is the contradiction that defines it: it is one of Britain's most historic prisons. And one of its most criticized. It is tasked with upholding justice. Yet repeatedly flagged for conditions that challenge human dignity. It stands in one of the world's most modern cities. Yet its corridors were built before electricity was common. And inside those corridors, men wait. For verdicts. For appeals. For change. In London's criminal justice system, the journey into prison often begins long before sentencing. For many inmates at HMP Wandsworth, the story starts with remand. According to the UK Ministry of Justice, a significant portion of Wandsworth's population consists of remand prisoners, people awaiting trial who have not yet been convicted. Courts sometimes deny bail if they believe a suspect might flee, interfere with witnesses, or pose a risk to the public. That decision can send someone directly from a courtroom into one of the most overcrowded prisons in Britain. Let's follow a composite inmate we'll call Daniel Carter, a fictionalized name representing dozens of real cases described in inspection reports and news investigations. Daniel is 27. He stands in the dock of a London magistrate's court. His charge is serious enough that the judge refuses bail. Within hours, custody officers escort him downstairs to the holding cells. The process is fast. Handcuffs. Paperwork. A transport van. By evening, the prison van pulls through the gates of Wandsworth. The first thing Daniel notices is the sound. Metal doors. Shouting from distant wings. Radios crackling with officer codes. Reception is where every new prisoner enters the system. Officers record personal details, fingerprints, and property. According to prison procedures, inmates receive basic prison clothing, bedding, and hygiene items. Then comes the cell assignment. In theory, cells in Victorian prisons like Wandsworth were designed for one prisoner. In reality, overcrowding often means two. Daniel is escorted down a narrow landing, past rows of heavy metal doors. Somewhere down the wing, someone is yelling. Another door slams shut. An officer unlocks his cell. Inside is a bunk bed, a small sink, and a toilet in the corner. Another inmate is already there. And just like that, Daniel's first night in Wandsworth begins. Morning inside HMP Wandsworth begins early. Lights flicker on across the wings. Metal doors echo as officers start the daily routine. According to publicly available prison procedures across England and Wales, the day begins with roll checks, breakfast distribution, and movement schedules. For inmates like Daniel Carter, our composite prisoner representing real remand experiences, the first morning brings a sudden realization. Prison has a rhythm. But it's not calm. On Wandsworth's wings, hundreds of men live within a narrow vertical block of cells stacked across multiple landings. The prison's Victorian design means long corridors with iron railings overlooking the central space below. Noise travels everywhere. Doors slam. Voices echo. Radios crackle with officer calls. Daniel wakes to the sound of shouting 2 cells down the landing. Someone argues through the door hatch with an officer. Another prisoner bangs repeatedly on metal. For newcomers, this environment can feel overwhelming. According to inspection reports by Inspectorate of Prisons, noise, tension, and overcrowding are common features in large local prisons. Wandsworth, housing more than 1,500 inmates, often operates under intense pressure. Breakfast arrives through the hatch. Cereal. Milk. Sometimes toast. After the meal service, officers begin controlled movement across the wing. Some prisoners head to work assignments, kitchens, cleaning crews, or maintenance tasks. Others remain locked inside. Remand prisoners like Daniel often spend long periods waiting. Court dates may be weeks away. During that time, routines can become repetitive. But inside crowded prisons, routine does not always mean stability. From his landing, Daniel watches 2 officers escort a handcuffed inmate down the stairs. Somewhere below, another argument erupts. The wing officer shouts for silence. For Daniel, one truth becomes clear on his first full day. Inside Wandsworth, survival often begins with learning the rules, both the official ones and the unwritten ones. Every prison has 2 systems of control. The official one, run by officers, schedules, and regulations. And the unofficial one, enforced by inmates. Inside HMP Wandsworth, that second system can appear within hours of arrival. By Daniel Carter's second day, he begins to notice patterns. Who speaks to whom? Which prisoners move confidently through the wing? Who keeps their head down? In prisons across the UK, inspectors and criminologists have long documented the presence of informal inmate hierarchies. These aren't written anywhere, but they shape daily life. Older inmates often advise newcomers on one simple rule. Mind your own business. Daniel learns quickly that questions can draw attention. Attention can lead to trouble. During exercise hour, prisoners are escorted into a small concrete yard surrounded by high walls and fencing. Groups naturally form. Some men pace the perimeter alone. Others gather in clusters, talking quietly. An experienced inmate pulls Daniel aside. "First week?" he asks. Daniel nods. The man gives simple advice. Don't borrow anything. Don't owe anyone. And never get involved in other people's arguments. Those rules exist for a reason. According to reports from Inspectorate of Prisons, debt and drug activity remain major drivers of violence in British prisons. Synthetic drugs like spice have been widely documented across the prison system, sometimes smuggled in through contaminated paper or outside deliveries. Debt over drugs can escalate quickly. Arguments that begin quietly in the yard sometimes end with alarms on the wing. Later that afternoon, Daniel hears one. A loud buzzer echoes through the corridor. Officers rush past. Somewhere down the landing, a fight has broken out. The cell doors remain locked. But the message travels fast. Inside Wandsworth, the official rules keep order. The unwritten ones determine who stays safe. By the end of his first week inside HMP Wandsworth, Daniel Carter realizes something unsettling. Time behaves differently here. Outside, days are measured by work hours, traffic, and evening routines. Inside prison, time is measured by unlocks and lockups. According to prison operating procedures, movement depends entirely on staffing levels and security priorities. When officers are short-staffed, doors stay closed. For remand prisoners like Daniel, that means waiting. Court dates can be delayed. Legal visits rescheduled. Paperwork lost in the system. None of this is unusual, according to publicly available inspection findings across large local prisons. Some days, Daniel is locked in his cell for more than 20 hours. The cell feels smaller each day. Two men share the space. There is no silence, only the constant background noise of the wing. Shouting. Radios. Doors slamming shut. Mental health organizations in the UK have repeatedly raised concerns about the psychological impact of extended confinement. Official statistics across England and Wales show high levels of anxiety, depression, and self-harm incidents among remand prisoners. Daniel feels it creeping in. Restlessness. Irritation. A sense that nothing is moving forward. His cellmate has been on remand for 6 months. Still no trial date. According to court backlogs reported by UK judicial authorities, delays in criminal proceedings have increased in recent years, putting additional strain on remand populations. That uncertainty weighs heavily. Every morning, Daniel listens for his name during roll call, hoping for news from legal services. Most days, nothing comes. In Wandsworth, punishment is not always about sentences. Sometimes, it's about waiting. And not knowing how long that wait will last. Weeks pass inside HMP Wandsworth, and for Daniel Carter, the rhythm of prison life becomes impossible to ignore. Every day follows the same pattern. Roll call. Meals through the hatch. Short periods outside the cell. Then the sound every prisoner learns to recognize, the heavy metal door locking again. Inside Victorian prisons like Wandsworth, the walls hold more than inmates. They hold history. Built in 1851, the prison was designed for a different era of punishment, long before the modern criminal justice system faced the pressures it does today. And those pressures show. According to Inspectorate of Prisons, multiple inspections over the years have raised concerns about overcrowding, aging infrastructure, and the strain placed on staff trying to manage one of the largest prison populations in the country. For inmates, that pressure shapes daily life. Arguments break out faster. Patience runs thin. Every small frustration, a delayed meal, a canceled visit, a missed phone call, can become something bigger. Daniel sees it firsthand one evening. A loud shout echoes down the landing. Two prisoners arguing through their cell doors. Within seconds, officers rush in, ordering silence. The wing eventually settles again. but the tension never really disappears. For officers and inmates alike, Wandsworth is a place where everyone feels the weight of the system. Yet beyond the noise and locked doors, another truth exists. Most of the men inside will one day walk out of these gates. Some will rebuild their lives. Others will return. Because prisons like Wandsworth don't just hold crime. They reflect the challenges of the justice system itself. And behind those towering brick walls in South London, the question remains. Is the system holding together? Or slowly reaching its limit? By the time Daniel Carter has spent several weeks inside HMP Wandsworth, the reality of prison life becomes clearer. What once felt chaotic now feels structured, but not stable. Every corridor, every landing, every locked door operates under pressure. And according to multiple Inspectorate of Prisons reports, pressure is one of the defining features of large local prisons like Wandsworth. Daniel begins to understand this not from reading reports or statistics, but from watching the people around him. Prison officers, inmates, healthcare staff. Everyone seems to be trying to keep the system moving forward. But some days, it feels like the system is only barely holding together. Morning roll checks come early. Officers walk the landings, unlocking hatches and calling out numbers. Radios crackle constantly, short-coded messages that carry across the wing. Landing clear. Movement ready. Officer required. Daniel has learned that those radio calls often signal something happening somewhere else in the building. A medical emergency. An argument between prisoners. Sometimes a fight. Wandsworth is a Category B prison, which means it holds inmates considered too risky for open prisons but not classified as the highest security level. That creates a complex population. Remand prisoners waiting for trial. Convicted offenders serving short sentences. Inmates awaiting transfer to other prisons. And occasionally high-profile defendants who have attracted national attention. The result is a constantly shifting environment. Cells change occupants frequently. New arrivals appear every week. Some prisoners leave after only a few days when courts grant bail or issue transfers. Others remain for months. For Daniel, the uncertainty of remand remains the hardest part. His solicitor has visited once. The case is moving slowly through the court system. And according to publicly reported court backlog statistics across England and Wales, delays in criminal proceedings have been a growing issue in recent years. That means prisoners like Daniel often wait inside facilities like Wandsworth far longer than expected. The waiting affects people differently. Some inmates keep to themselves. Others grow restless. Some become angry. One afternoon, Daniel hears shouting from 2 cells down the landing. At first it sounds like the usual arguments that echo through the prison. But then an alarm buzzer rings out. The sound cuts through the entire wing. Prisoners know that sound. It means officers have called for immediate assistance. Footsteps rush down the metal stairs. Doors remain locked while officers respond. From inside his cell, Daniel hears voices. Orders being shouted. The scuffle ends quickly. Later, when the wing returns to its routine, rumors travel through the prison as they always do. A disagreement over borrowed items. A small debt. Something that escalated. Official reports from prison inspectors have repeatedly noted that debt, drugs, and interpersonal conflicts are common drivers of violence within prisons across England and Wales. These incidents rarely make national headlines. But they shape daily life inside. For prison officers, responding to these situations is part of the job. And the job is not easy. According to publicly available Ministry of Justice data, the UK Prison Service has faced ongoing challenges recruiting and retaining staff. Officers often work long shifts in demanding environments where tensions can rise quickly. Daniel notices that some officers appear exhausted. Others maintain calm professionalism even when the wing grows loud and restless. One officer in particular, known among prisoners simply as Mr. Lewis, a composite name used here, stands out. Lewis has worked in the prison service for more than a decade. At least, that's what inmates say. He moves through the wing with quiet authority, speaking calmly but firmly. He reminds prisoners about association times. He settles minor disagreements before they escalate. And he rarely raises his voice. Some inmates respect him. Others keep their distance. But everyone seems to understand that officers like Lewis are essential for maintaining order. Without them, the wing could quickly become unmanageable. In older prisons like Wandsworth, infrastructure adds another layer of difficulty. The building was constructed in the mid-19th century, long before modern prison management techniques existed. Its layout, multiple tiers of narrow walkways and stacked cells, can make supervision challenging. Officers must constantly move between landings, checking doors, monitoring activity, and responding to calls. Meanwhile, prisoners spend long hours in close proximity. Small frustrations grow larger in confined spaces. A delayed phone call. A missed visit. An argument about noise. Inside a crowded prison, those moments can become flashpoints. Daniel begins to notice how quickly moods change on the wing. During exercise periods, the atmosphere feels calmer. Prisoners walk laps around the concrete yard, talk quietly in small groups, or simply look up at the open sky. But when everyone returns inside and doors close again, tension slowly returns. The prison operates on controlled movement. That means prisoners cannot freely move around the building. Every transfer between areas, from cell block to yard, from yard to medical, from wing to visit hall, requires officer supervision. When staffing levels are stretched, movement slows down. And when movement slows down, frustration builds. One morning, the entire wing remains locked for several extra hours. No one explains why. Some inmates assume there aren't enough officers on duty. Others speculate about an incident somewhere else in the prison. Officially, lockdowns happen for many reasons. Security checks. Emergency responses. Staff shortages. Whatever the cause, the result is the same. More waiting. Daniel's cellmate has become used to it. Best thing you can do, the man tells him one evening, is keep your routine. Routine is one of the few forms of control prisoners have. Reading. Writing letters. Exercising in the limited space of the cell. Some inmates enroll in education programs or prison work assignments when available. According to government rehabilitation initiatives, these programs are designed to reduce reoffending by giving inmates practical skills and structure. But access can be limited. In busy prisons like Wandsworth, demand often exceeds available spaces. Daniel applies for a cleaning job on the wing. It doesn't pay much, prison wages are modest, but it offers something more valuable. Time outside the cell. Several weeks pass before he receives an answer. Eventually, an officer calls his name during morning checks. He's been approved. The job involves sweeping corridors and helping distribute supplies. Simple tasks. But the work changes Daniel's perspective. Now he walks the wing instead of watching it from behind the door. He sees how officers coordinate movements. How healthcare staff visit prisoners needing medical attention. How maintenance teams repair broken fixtures when possible. He also sees how fragile the balance inside the prison can be. One afternoon, while cleaning the landing, Daniel witnesses another confrontation. Two inmates arguing near the stairwell. Voices raised. Hands clenched. Before it escalates, officers step in. Firm commands. Separation. Within minutes, the situation is under control. But the energy on the wing shifts again. Even prisoners not involved in the argument feel it. Inside Wandsworth, tension spreads quickly. And yet, not every moment is conflict. There are quieter moments too. Evenings when the wing settles. Prisoners speaking through door hatches with neighbors. Some listening to small radios. Others writing letters to family members. For many inmates, those letters are the most important connection to the outside world. Visits are limited. Phone access is scheduled. But letters travel beyond the walls. Daniel writes to his younger brother one night. He keeps the message simple. He says he's fine. He says the case is still ongoing. He says he hopes everything at home is okay. What he doesn't write about are the sounds of the wing at night. The sudden shouts. The clanging doors. The feeling that every day inside the prison carries a different kind of weight. Outside the prison walls, London continues its usual rhythm. Trains move through busy stations. Office workers fill cafes. Tourists walk along the Thames. Most people never think about the prison sitting quietly in South London. But inside Wandsworth, the system keeps moving. Every day new prisoners arrive. Every day others leave. Every day officers try to maintain order in a building that was never designed for the demands of modern incarceration. And every day inmates like Daniel wait. For news. For court dates. For decisions that will shape the rest of their lives. According to justice system experts, prisons serve multiple purposes. Punishment. Public safety. Rehabilitation. But when overcrowding, aging infrastructure, and staffing shortages collide, those goals become harder to achieve. Wandsworth has become a symbol of that challenge. A historic institution operating under modern pressure. And for those living inside it, prisoners and officers alike, the experience is rarely simple. Some see it as a necessary part of the justice system. Others believe it reflects deeper problems that require reform. Daniel doesn't think about policy debates. He thinks about the next court hearing. About the possibility of release. About the moment when the prison gates might open for him. Until then, his world remains contained within those red brick walls. A place where every day follows the same pattern. And where the pressure inside the system never completely disappears. HMP Wandsworth has stood in South London for more than 170 years. Built in 1851, its brick walls have witnessed generations of prisoners pass through its gates, from Victorian offenders to modern-day inmates awaiting trial in one of the world's most watched cities. But today, the prison faces challenges its original builders could never have imagined. According to Inspectorate of Prisons, repeated inspections in recent years have highlighted serious concerns: overcrowding, aging facilities, staffing shortages, and the growing pressure placed on the entire prison system across England and Wales. Wandsworth is not just a prison. It's a reflection of a justice system under strain. Inside, more than 1,000 men wake up each day in cells built for another century. Some are awaiting trial. Some are serving sentences. Others are counting the days until they walk free. But no matter their circumstances, life inside follows the same harsh rhythm. Locked doors. Echoing corridors. And the constant reminder that freedom exists only beyond the walls. For prison officers, the job is equally demanding, maintaining order inside a facility operating far beyond what it was originally designed to handle. The reality is complicated. Prisons are meant to protect society, punish crime, and create opportunities for rehabilitation. Yet when overcrowding and pressure grow, those goals become harder to achieve. Wandsworth stands as one of the clearest examples of that challenge. A Victorian prison still trying to function in the 21st century. And while the gates remain locked, the questions surrounding its future remain open. Because behind every prison wall lies a deeper story about justice, accountability, and the systems meant to protect society. Thank you for watching Goody Crime TV. If you want more real, fact-based prison documentaries from around the world, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Because the truth about crime doesn't end in the courtroom. Sometimes, it only begins once the doors close.